Did you know? Super Mario RPG was partially inspired by a Japanese children's toy. According to one of Mario RPG's directors, Yoshihiko Maekawa, the toy was similar to a laptop, and the buttons on the toy had to be pressed in time with music. Maekawa told IGN, "It was that idea, having gameplay built around timing pressing buttons, that inspired me to hybridize these two genres to get a little bit of action and RPG into the same game." At the game's first meeting, Square presented Nintendo with an image of Mario on horseback, equipped with a sword and cape. It was essentially a fusion of Square's Final Fantasy style and Mario. The illustration didn't sit well with Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto, who immediately said, "That's not right." Miyamoto and one of Mario RPG's directors, Chihiro Fujioka, went back and forth on the issue. They discussed whether the game should have a classic RPG approach with swords and magic, or if Mario should use his iconic jump attacks and hammer. They couldn't decide between the two, so they let the fans decide. Fujioka told Retro Gamer, "We had to decide on Mario's fighting style. I said, let's just decide his fighting style based on how much the audience applauds." Fujioka commented on both fighting styles, and the audience cheered more for Mario using jumps and hammers. Other drastic changes in direction took place early in production. One example is the pseudo 3D art style, which didn't exist at all near the start of development. Mario RPG initially used a top-down map with a 2D style Mario. The game received a pre-rendered isometric overhaul after some experimentation with 3D. There were also plans to include a shape-shifting boss character in the second half of the game. Code for the villain was even programmed into the game, and several sketches were drawn. Though the boss was cut, the ideas behind it could have influenced the fight against Smithy. Originally, the team wanted Mario to use devices that would impact devices in other parts of the world, causing a type of domino effect. Chain reaction was a key phrase the team used during development. This eventually led to the game's action events, where light platforming and other real-time set pieces occurred throughout the game. Speaking of which, the team struggled to balance the amount of action. They wondered how much traditional Mario gameplay could be present in an RPG without it feeling out of place. Though production was sometimes difficult, Square and Nintendo worked well together. Ex-Square president Hisashi Suzuki approached Nintendo about making a sequel before Mario RPG was even released, but due to Square leaning away from Nintendo in favor of the PlayStation, a similar collaboration never took place on the Nintendo 64. Luigi was planned to be in the game, as seen in an early issue of Nintendo Power. Many other elements were changed or scrapped during development. Some examples are the Chancellor looking gray and much older, Frogfucius' island being closer to the land and therefore not accessed via Tadpole Bridge, an encounter with Bowser in his keep at an unknown time, an unused underwater battle stage, and a lot of enemies, most of which were reskinned versions of existing foes. There's also a hidden boss named Culex, who is an homage to Square's Final Fantasy series. Though he isn't from Final Fantasy himself, he embodies many traits of the franchise. He has a sprite for both overworld and battle like the Final Fantasy enemies, and his in-battle sprite doesn't change when attacking or being struck. Culex's in-battle sprite also looks more 2D than 3D. A remixed version of Final Fantasy IV's boss battle music plays during the fight, and the Final Fantasy victory fanfare is heard after it. Culex's Japanese name is also Kuri Sutara, meaning crystaller. This isn't the only nod to Final Fantasy. Caesar Dragon gets his name from an unused Final Fantasy super boss. The unused boss is called Caesar Dragon in the game's ROM, but both enemies are called Kaiser Dragon in Japanese. The boss was eventually used in the Game Boy Advance port of Final Fantasy VI, and was renamed Kaiser Dragon in the West. The enemy Bahamut is a reference to the Final Fantasy summon of the same name. This isn't true for the Japanese version, however, where the enemy has a Yoshi-inspired name, Doshi. Final Fantasy isn't the only game referenced in Super Mario RPG. Both The Legend of Zelda's Link and Metroid's Samus have cameo appearances. Link can be found in the Rosetown Inn, and Samus can be seen in Toadstool's Castle. Samus is also featured as an action figure in Booster Tower. Models of Captain Falcon and Samurai Goro's vehicles from F-Zero, as well as an R-Wing from Star Fox, can be found in Barrel Volcano. The Axum Rangers are a parody of the heroes from Super Sentai, a long-running Japanese show which was the basis for the Power Rangers franchise. Translator Ted Woolsey originally wanted to squeeze more references into the game. Woolsey asked if he could name Punchinello James Bond in reference to James Bond, but management shot down his request. A remnant of the idea is seen when Punchinello introduces himself. The name's Nello, Punchinello. Boshi's Japanese name is Washi. This makes him Yoshi's Wadui counterpart, similar to how Wario is Mario's counterpart. Bowser's victory pose was also changed in the English game, as it previously resembled the up yours gesture. Lakitu's Japanese name is Jugem. His bus features the initials JB, which remained unchanged in the English version. They simply stand for Jugem's bus. In the Japanese version of the game, going into the menu screen and entering down, up, right, left, select, start, B will make Toad appear. He'll say, "Secret code found." Now let's take a look at your status. Wow, nothing's changed at all. But what about your experience points? Nope, nothing's changed. There's no point in looking for other codes, and the result will always be the same. I'll play with you as many times as you like though. Secret code, end. In the English version, Geno introduces himself as heart, note, exclamation mark, question mark. In the Japanese game, however, Geno's name is introduced as a completely unpronounceable series of symbols he refers to as Star Language. Geno was a surprise hit among fans, and even grew a cult following. Mario RPG's developers didn't know about this fondness until years later, presumably due to a language barrier and the obscurity of early internet. Fujioka told Retro Gamer, "I only found out about Geno's popularity later, so I got him to make a reappearance in Superstar Saga." Did you also know that changes were made to avoid comparisons to Nazis in the European version of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door? Or that Spanish copies of the game referenced Hulk Hogan and Super Smash Bros? For more Mario facts, click this link on the screen to watch the Did You Know Gaming video on Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Don't forget to subscribe for more facts and trivia, and if you like this video, consider sharing it with a friend.